Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Alex. This is my good buddy, Zach. Before we get in today's episode, we'd like to tell you something that's just been made official over the past few days.
Yeah, we would like to officially announce that we'll be partnering with Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Hockey to bring you our episodes. In addition, we are now part of the Belly Up Podcast Network, which teams up with other podcasts to bring you the best content possible. We'll be having guests on in the future episodes as well as appearing on other podcasts. So stay tuned for that information. We are also letting you know that in addition to being available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, and YouTube, we are now also to be found on Pandora. All you need to do is search for Cannons and Tomahawks podcast and click play. While you're at it, go ahead and click follow, subscribe, or wherever it is on the platform you use.
Man,
Man,
it's
dude,
that's pretty exciting, Zach. It really is.
I know, man. One episode in, talking up to the Billy Up Sports guys for a little bit, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll bring you one," and we're really excited. I'm excited to team up with other podcasts. It's gonna be a good time, and for the fact that we got a good backing from Belly Up Sports, I'm excited for what the future brings for our podcast.
Absolutely. And even in the Billy Up Podcast Network, there's a lot of other really solid guys and girls in there. They really knowledgeable about their sports, and even just there's some podcasts that aren't about sports. Some really solid people, really cool people. A lot of information, but it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really exciting.
No doubt.
So before we get into the episode, we're just going to listen to a quick hit from Belly Up Sports.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
All right. So before we get into today's episode, we're going to do a quick rundown of each game from the previous week. We are currently recording on Saturday, January 16th. We are not going to include games from today. We are going to touch on those next week. So from Wednesday, after close first two periods, the Flyers pull ahead in the third to grab a 6-3 win over the Penguins. The Canadians and Maple Leafs battle it out, only to have Morgan Riley grab the game winner in OT. Blackhawks have a slow start and get struck by the Lightning 5-1. Oilers have a strong outing but slip on their own oil to fall to the Canucks 5-3. Avalanche can't climb the mountain fast enough and fall to the Blues 4-1. Thursday's games, Taylor Hall gets his first goal and assist as a Sabre, but Buffalo still falls to the Capitals 6-4. The first shootout of the season is over as Boston squeaks one out over the Devils 3-2. Rangers rookies have a tough first game as the Rangers fall to the Islanders 4-0. Dylan Larkin, with his new C on his jersey, aren't enough to help the Red Wings, who fall to Carolina 3-0. Blue Jackets start strong, but get hunted late by the Predators, who won 3-1. Patrick Laine brushes off the rumors and gets the Jets' OT winner over the Flames. Connor McDavid completes hat trick number 7 for an Oilers win over the Canucks 5-2. Phil Kessel scores with 3 seconds left in the third to tie it at 3, but it just isn't enough as the Coyotes fall to the Sharks in a shootout 4-3. After a close battle in the first, the Knights slaughter the Ducks in the third by a score of 5-2. Kaprizov gets his first NHL goal as the Wild take down the Kings 4-3 in OT. Finally, quickly, Friday's games. Washington's goalie situation holds up to beat Buffalo 2-1. The Flyers fly high over the Penguins to complete the two-game sweep 5-2. Tampa strikes again with a 5-2 victory over Chicago. Ottawa scores 4 unanswered to top Toronto 5-3. And the Avalanche steamroll the Blues, inching out a close 8-0 victory.
Man, there was all those games, man. It is insane how many goals we're having in the first 3 games of the season, and not even including tonight. I mean, 8-0 Avs Blues, and I was watching because I watched the Blackhawks game earlier. I was live tweeting that. Then I watched the Avalanche Blues game, and dude, it was awesome to watch the Blues just get absolutely smoked. I mean, hey, we lost. We gave up 10 goals in 2 games, but for the fact that the Blues gave up 8 in 1, and for the fact that their backup who replaced Bennington in the third period gave up 4 goals.
Yep.
So I mean, that was pretty big. And I mean, dude, the Flyers, man. Right now, my Flyers pick is looking pretty good to win the Stanley Cup and win the East. I mean,
yeah, they look solid. Watching them, they do look good, but something just seems off with the Penguins. Not sure what it is, but it just honestly
there. Honestly, man, they're just old. I mean, most of their core guys are pretty much old, and you're asking Yari to do a lot of work, and the defense is kind of suspect
Yep.
at best. I mean, that's going to be pretty tough. And I mean, no one's really shocked Detroit's going to lose, to Carolina. Dougie Hamilton just absolutely bodies Sam Gagne in that fight. I'm like, Sam Gagne is like 5'10, 5'11, and like Dougie Hamilton's like what, 6'3, 6'4. He's just absolutely just rocks him in that game. And
It,
can we like agree that the Capitals Buffalo Sabres series was an absolute goal fest. Like it seems like no goalie wanted to make a save, and I feel kind of bad for Shannon on the Slapshot Sweethearts podcast, because I think she's a Caps fan, and the fact that they were so worried about goaltending, it's like, yeah, I would be worried too if Buffalo puts up 4 on you in the first game of the season, and then you got to play the rest of that division.
yeah.
That's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough for the Capitals, for sure.
Well, it was. If I remember, I think Shannon's the Boston fan because she was throwing shade at the Capitals for signing Chara. So it's
Oh, okay. I thought yeah, because I know at one point I heard like it was like Caps, Bruins, and Penguins. Some point in that. So I might have gotten that wrong. So Shannon, if you're listening to the podcast, sorry, that's my bad. But
we're
dude,
so sorry.
sorry. But talking about what was this one? There was another game I wanted to mention real quick. Oh, how about Toronto just absolutely just falling flat against the Senators? I'm like, excuse
I
me,
absolutely loved it.
excuse me,
I loved it.
like.
Senators look nothing like they did last year. It's
I mean, that game was pretty interesting. But can we just agree that the Senators' New Jerseys are phenomenal?
they're fantastic.
I'm
Absolutely
so glad.
fantastic.
I'm so glad they went back to that 2D logo. I mean, that thing was just perfect. So I mean, it
Yeah.
was great to see them lose, and the Avalanche. They steamrolled the Blues. I loved that. How about the fact that a lot of people were thinking the Rangers were going to do something this year, and the fact that they just get absolutely just steamrolled by the Islanders? I'm all here
Mhm.
for it, because Matt Barzell, let me tell you, he's probably one of my favorite non-Chicago players to watch in the league right now, and it stinks that he's stuck in that organization with Barry Trotz in his defensive-minded offense. Could you imagine Matt Barzell with any other team that worries about more offense? Like, this dude could literally score 40 to 45 goals a season.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Johnny Nani of Four Feathers podcast about this, and we're both in agreement. Like, dude, if this guy was anywhere else, he would absolutely just destroy people.
Oh,
So
for sure.
for the fact that he's with the Islanders right now, I mean, the Islanders fans are pretty happy they saved him. They got him for another 3 years. But if I was him, I'm like, give me the free agency. I want to be a UFA. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Absolutely.
Rough.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy for sure.
Yeah.
Well, while we're still talking about the games, while we're on the topic of the Blues,
Mhm.
a couple big signings. Mike Hoffman officially signs his 1-year deal for $4 million with the Blues. How do you feel about that?
I mean, we're not really playing him this year, so I'm not really too worried about it, because he might be gone by the end of he won't be there next season. So, but I mean, overall, I mean, that's not a bad signing. I mean, Hoffman is really good. He kind of had it was an interesting year with him in Florida, but getting him to the Blues, I mean, it makes the Blues more interesting in terms of the West now, because we saw what Colorado did last night to them. And I mean, Hoffman didn't play those games, but with him going to be officially with the team relatively soon, I think that's definitely going to change things a little bit. I don't think the Blues are still going to win the division, but it's going to give them a slight edge to probably be the number 2 team in that division, in my opinion. I mean, what are your thoughts about Hoffman being a Blue now?
I think it was a good move for them. Honestly, I think the 1-year deal is going to be great since they have Tarasenko out on LTIR for I think the entire season or a large majority of it. They need that scoring guy, and I think that was a good move to be able to get Hoffman. Um, I know his PTO kind of confused everybody, but if you think about it, they had to be able to put guys on LTIR to have that cap relief, to be able to have the available cap space to be able to sign Hoffman. Even though it's $4 million, they still, they can't bump up all the way to that 81.5 million. Um, Yes, with the signings also, we've also had the Canucks signed Travis Hamonic to a 1-year deal, and Marcus Foligno signs a 3-year extension with the Wild.
I'm I mean, yeah, getting Travis Hamonic to the Canucks is a pretty solid move. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how much of an upgrade it is compared to them losing Tanev to Calgary, but you get Hamonic, it's pretty solid. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not upset about it, but I wouldn't say it's an upgrade. I wouldn't say it's about even. I think it's a little bit of a downgrade, but it's Hamonic is still that defender that you can still rely on to eat some minutes of in your top four. You could put him as a 5 if you really wanted to, but I'm not really upset about that. So good move
no,
of the Canucks, honestly, to get Hamonic and then Foligno. Not really shocked. I mean, Foligno's pretty decent, and get a 3-year deal.
yeah,
Good for him. Hey,
yeah.
get paid, get that money.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's a solid player. I think Minnesota landed a good thing with him, getting him for an extra 3 years.
Yeah, and to go back to what you said about the putting guys on waivers and stuff like that. Mostly a lot of that stuff was just to, a lot of teams did that for the first couple of games just to save them for, the salary cap on opening night. And then they because that's what happened to the Lightning with Tyler Johnson. They put him on waivers, but it was mostly just, put him on the tax squad to give them cap relief for opening night. Then after that, they can bring him back up. So that's kind of how that's what they did with Hoffman. It's like, hey, we're going to sign you, but you're not going to start opening night, but we're going to bring you back. So
Yeah,
it's
for
one of
sure.
those kind of loophole, once you're under the cap for opening night, you can bring guys back and kind of be over it. So it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
No, for sure. Speaking of the Wild, Marco Rossi is out indefinitely with an upper body injury. I think that's going to be a pretty big hit for them.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough, and I feel bad for Rossi. He's been working really hard. From what I've heard over the offseason, he's been trying to get his game up and stuff like that. And he looked really solid for a good year this year. And now that he's out indefinitely. Who knows how long that's going to be?
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to see it. I mean, no matter what team it is, even if it's a rival team, you don't want to see guys lose out a season for an injury. So I mean, all well wishes to Rossi. Hopefully he can come back this year and help the Wild out because it's gonna be interesting to see what they do because I know they're playing LA right now. So I bet you Minnesota really would love to have Rossi right now trying to help them solidify a playoff spot in the West, which in all fairness is pretty after the top 3 teams that you kind of know they're going to take it, that 4 spots open for anyone to grab. So I bet you Minnesota would love to have Rossi right now to help them get that last spot to get into the playoffs this year.
Oh, for sure. Hopefully Kaprizov, he's looked good their first game and the game that's actually currently on. He's looked pretty good. So hopefully they can get a decent amount of production out of him and maybe pick up a little bit of the slack that's going to be missing.
Oh, no. I mean, this kid looks really solid. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Wild do with him this year and just overall in general. I mean, the team is still pretty decent. I don't know how their goaltending is right now because they got Stalock and all those guys, but I mean, the Wild could surprise you. I mean, they surprised everyone last year. They were really bad to start off, and they got themselves into a spot to make the playoffs without the extra help with the expanded roster or the expanded playoffs. So the Wild, I mean, they are a meh team, but they're still a team that can surprise you to get a late push. So
No, for sure.
with having that young kid and everyone who's still there, Parise and all of them, it's gonna be an interesting year for sure. And then Eriksson Ek, I mean that Eriksson Ek is, I think he's gonna have a breakout year for the Wild in my opinion. Hot take, but I think Eriksson Ek's gonna be solid for the Wild.
Yeah, this should be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of big news, Jay Bouwmeester from the St. Louis Blues officially announces his retirement. Good for him. He was technically dead, and they brought him back.
Man, I remember when. Yeah,
health is number one. I mean, no matter what, you got to be healthy, and he's got a family. I'm sure he's okay with it. It probably sucks missing hockey, but
yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't surprise me for the Blues to have him in the front office doing something.
Yeah, I mean, he was always someone that we had to worry about facing when it came to like the Blackhawks Blues series. I mean, that was really huge. And then even in Florida, he was really good there too. I mean, Jay Bouwmeester had a really good career until all the health issues popped up. And well wishes for him. Hopefully everything goes well, in his retirement. And yeah, if I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if the Blues do bring him on as something to do in the front office, maybe scouting or player development or something like that. Because I mean, he's someone you would love to have in your organization to help the young guys out or just anything in general. So well wishes to Jay and all that with his retirement and stuff. No doubt.
100%. 100%. Speaking of retirement, did you see the news that actually broke right before we started recording this?
No, what was that?
So Jimmy Howard is expected to announce his retirement in the next few days, per Elliot Friedman on Twitter.
Oh wow. No, I didn't even hear about that. I mean, wow, that's kind of surprising.
Allegedly, it started with the Oilers GM calling Jimmy Howard to see if he would be willing to play. And the rumor is that he told him that he's leaning towards retirement and that he is expected to announce his retirement.
Oh, gee, because I thought he was with Detroit. Was he a free agent? Because
he was a free agent because his contract ended last year, and I think Jimmy Howard was like 2-19 or something last season, and nobody wanted to sign. He had a terrible year, and
Jimmy.
His defense in Detroit didn't help him, but
you almost kind of feel bad for Jimmy Howard for the fact that like how his career kind of like everyone's like, oh, he's just really terrible. He's not a good goalie anymore. I'm like, well, if you really look at the Red Wings the last 5 years, they haven't really done him any favors. So it's like it's not like Jimmy Howard's a bad goalie because when he started there, when the Red Wings were actually good, he was a pretty solid goaltender. It's just unfortunately with all the rebuild and how just the contract situations with all these other guys and it's just you kind of feel bad for him. So, I mean, honestly, man, at this point, I really want to blame him if he did want to retire because it's just like if your heart's not in it, if you're mentally not in it to do another season like this, when you're playing 56 games in 114 days, I mean, you really can't blame him because that's gonna be after a while. That's kind of tough. So, I mean, yeah, he's a Red Wing. And, I'm a Blackhawks fan. We kind of don't like the Red Wings, but I mean, honestly, at any point, I mean, all biases aside and just feelings of just it's. I can see why Jimmy wants to retire, and if he does, like I said for Jay, he Blues guy, wish him nothing but the best. I don't blame him, and it's tough. I mean, hockey is a mental game, man, and if you're not fully in it, it's what do you do at that point? Do you want to try to suffer through an entire season, or you're like, you know what, I gotta give myself a mental break and just go spend time with family? So,
for sure,
I really don't blame Jimmy at all.
Yeah, I'm sure part of that had to do with Steve Yzerman. It seems like they're in a full rebuild with a ton of young guys, and I don't want to say he didn't feel like he fit in, but that's probably a small portion of that. He's getting older with a bunch of young guys, and now you have a captain with Dylan Larkin. Congratulations to him, by the way, on his new captaincy in Detroit.
Right.
He's what, 23?
Something like that. Who does Detroit have in goal right now? Because I haven't.
Oh man,
I mean
that is a fantastic question.
Yes, yeah. I mean, like I said,
according to Cap Friendly, they have Thomas Greiss and Jonathan Bernier. So two decent goalies.
Yeah. I forgot they got. Yeah, I forgot Greiss went over. Yeah. Sorry for the people who listen to the podcast. We try to keep up with as much roster stuff as we can. So if you hear us ask, hey, who's with who, and you hear, what, let me look that up real quick. It's just, it's 31 teams. We're gonna do our best to know everyone, but wow, yeah. I mean, Greiss isn't really that bad of a goalie, but I mean, you look at their defense, it's kind of like, yeah, it's gonna be a good few years. You're gonna see them go for top 5 picks. It's just you kind of have to just feel bad for the Red Wings fans to watch a team win 14 games last year or 15 games and still not get the number 1 seat, the number 1 pick, and it goes to the Rangers. You're like, that's rough. That's rough.
For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, what? I don't blame Jimmy, honestly, if he does retire.
No,
it stinks. It stinks to see.
I hope he has a happy retirement. I hope he has a healthy retirement, and it's. Who knows? Maybe he'll be a goalies coach or something for the Red Wings. He's a good guy. I've heard he's a solid guy. And
we'll sure.
See what happens down the road with him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully, well wishes for him, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. And in other news, the Jets canceled their practice today, January 16th, due to an abundance of caution with COVID-19 protocols.
Yeah. Okay. I heard
That's
about
gonna
that.
happen a
So,
lot. Yeah, it's gonna
so
happen quite a bit.
yeah. So basically, it's like what the same thing with what happened with the Penguins. It's like the games aren't canceled, but it's kind of like, hey, we're just gonna take precautions and just try to keep everyone
Yeah,
isolated for now until because they play what Monday, right?
I believe so.
Something like that.
Something
Okay.
like that. Yeah, and from what I understand, it's more of a like I know the Penguins did it. There's a couple other teams that have canceled a practice for a day just because
Right.
of maybe one person went out or they came in. I don't want to say came in close contact, but somebody that could have possibly had COVID and
Right.
they had to cancel to be able to do the rapid testing to be able to see, okay, everyone tested negative. All right, cool. Practice is back on tomorrow.
Right.
You
Makes
know,
sense. So
um,
what was that? That was TSN, right? That dropped that news, or who was that? Do you know who
I
it was?
I think it was TSN or Sportsnet.
One of the two.
TSN most likely. They usually drop that stuff first.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
about?
Them and Sports Center are pretty solid. So,
Oh yeah. What about that news coming out of San Jose, Zach?
man, yeah, that's really rough. I don't know what exactly led to this happening, but man, Evander Kane though filing for bankruptcy, and I think it was like what 28 point something million in debt, and he's only
Yeah.
got like what 10 million in assets, and he's only getting paid like what 7 million a season
Yeah,
or
something
something
like
like that.
that.
I mean that's rough. I mean,
Yeah, and look, somebody I can't remember who is someone on Twitter had this information. They were able to calculate that he's losing approximately $19,000 per month. That is his monthly gross with the amount
wow.
of money with the amount of debt he has after filing for bankruptcy and with the little amount of assets he has. He's technically losing $19,000 a month. Um,
My
that's
thing is my thing is because I know the guys on Spit and Chicklets talked about it. They said that it's like I think it's kind of a way for them to be like, he can't pay this. So I wonder if there's like a way, like if you file for bankruptcy, maybe it kind of helps with the fact of I have no money, maybe I can't pay this, and maybe that'll help get guys off his back. But you would think like, would you kind of want to play the season at least make some money back and help pay that off? Because I mean, you're talking 28 million in debt. Yeah, you're only making 7 million, but you think it'll kind of help in a
yeah,
certain way. I mean, I can't speculate. I don't know what's going on, but man, yeah, that's a rough situation to be in where you're that far into debt and you're not really making a whole lot, and you don't have assets. And didn't Evander Kane just have a kid not too long
I,
ago too?
I'm pretty sure like within the last year or something he has. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I mean, like I said, we don't want to speculate here on cans and tomahawks. I mean, overall, I mean, it's the bad. It just stinks to see that happen, and hopefully, Vander and his family pull through and figure something out. I mean, that stinks, man. That
Yeah.
has to be tough to go through. Like, and the fact that your news is out there, everyone knows what's going on, and it's like now you're gonna probably miss the season. Like, that's
Yeah.
rough. That's rough.
It's, I mean, I saw some reports that apparently, allegedly he wasn't going to start the season because then they technically can't take his money that he's going to earn. But the first game he already played, so that goes out the window.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not big on bankruptcy laws, especially in California. I have no idea, but
Oh yeah.
it sucks. The rumor was, or the reports that have come out was that his debt was caused by gambling. Again, unless I hear it from his mouth, I don't care. It's
Yeah.
if he has personal issues, fine. If he doesn't, fine. It is what it is. The news was out there. Hope he
Mhm.
can figure it out. That sucks, but you
Yeah.
know, moves
Yeah.
on.
Overall, it's just a tough situation to see. And hopefully, Evander and his family are gonna be okay, and hopefully they figure something out. And hopefully he'll be out if he does miss the season. That's gonna be hard for the Sharks because they were already having an off season. They had a bad season last year, and some people gave them a chance to make the playoffs, and some aren't this year. So if they lose Evander, that's gonna make it really interesting to see what the Sharks do this year. Makes you wonder if they're gonna go trade for someone if he is out for the whole season. So it's
Yeah,
definitely a situation to watch out for. But yeah, that's just hopefully everything works out for him and his family more than anything else. So
yeah. You would think that a lot of these guys. I know the Slapshot Sweethearts. their podcast on this past Wednesday mentioned this, and it got me thinking a little bit. You would think that based on the average age of these guys that are getting drafted and coming and playing the NHL, it's late teens, early 20s. You would think they have some type of financial classes or training or something like that to help these guys to where it's, hey, you're going to be a 21-year-old kid. Like, look at Mitch Marner. Okay, hey, you're what, 21, 22, making $11.5 million a year. Make sure you're not filing for bankruptcy at 26 or 27. It's
Yeah,
that's where some of the old guys need to step in and be able to explain to him, hey, take some of the money from your paycheck, put it aside. That's when, guys like Joe Thornton or, Sidney Crosby or things like that. Some of the older guys in the league need to be stepping in and have these types of conversations with these kids so they don't throw their lives away.
well, yeah. If you're talking about the Sharks, you got Burns and you got Eric Carlson there, so you think one of them would do that? Because I
Yeah.
know, isn't there some leagues that actually do have kind of have classes on that? I don't know if it's the NBA or MLB or NFL. I know one of the leagues has something where like they do have kind of have classes for something like that. I
I,
can't remember what exactly,
I
but
think the MLB does. And, who knows? Each team
yeah,
may have their own internal stuff. That's fine. I think it's
yeah,
more of I think there should be a league wide thing of, hey, maybe it could be a training class of learning your finances in a professional sport before you even hit the draft. To be eligible for the draft, you have to complete these specific courses or these types of trainings to be able to not throw your life away. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because you're going from ELCs that are like what $870,000 to guys making 8-9 million a year, 10 million a year. So yeah, I
yeah,
mean it makes sense. Like because unfortunately, because I know the girls on their podcast too, it's like you look at the marketing and just even the contracts that you see, they're not like NHL players do not make baseball money, NBA money,
no,
soccer money in Europe and stuff where you're making like hundreds of thousands a week or a million, like 15 or like 20 million plus a year and stuff like that. It's just
yeah,
crazy. It's just how the NHL doesn't, the contracts aren't super high. Like the salary cap's only like 81 million, so it's not
yeah,
like we're in the really huge contract range. And it's just there's a like I know we're gonna get to talk about Bettman and the like Tahoe games and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about with those marketing strategies that the girls on Slapshot Sweethearts talked about, which they said something on their podcast that I really want to emphasize too.
oh
When
yeah,
we get to that part,
hmm
because I mean, if you haven't listened to their podcast, you have to because it's really good. Because I think they were like what episode 3 into theirs,
yep,
so definitely recommend listening to them if you guys haven't yet. They're also part of Belly Up Sports, so
yeah, yeah, and having a little addition to this salary cap situation, you got to think. So Mitch Marner is currently 23 years old. His entry level contract started at his cap hit in 15-16 was 925,000, and then it went to 894,000. Right now, he's making 10.9 million a year. You got to think some of these kids could have been 16, having a part time job, making $25,000 a year. And then
oh yeah, for
within
sure.
5 years, they go from 25 grand to almost $11 million. Like, there are going to be guys that, oh man, I got that first paycheck. It's, $1 million.
Yeah,
Man, I am going to go crazy and just have a blast. Like,
yeah.
someone's going to screw up their life or something ridiculous with this. And I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see that happen to some of these young kids. They have so much of their life to live. And
Well, I agree with you. I think with other sports, maybe you can see that happening, but I think with hockey, it's kind of like there's a lot more guys are really more closer together and keep each other accountable because
oh, for sure.
they're rookies now. Like, you know, Kirby Dach with the Blackhawks. He was with he's living with the Seabrooks and stuff like that. And you have like veterans that will like, hey, come live with me for a couple of years. Blah blah blah. We'll help you
Yeah.
help you become pros. So I think other sports, yes, you could definitely see that happening. But I think with hockey in general, it's more of a closer community. Something you're going to see you don't really see a whole lot of, oh, I blew a lot of money on these
Oh yeah.
contracts and stuff like
Hockey
that.
in
But
general.
I agree with what you're saying. That like, yeah, you do need guys to do that. But I think with hockey, it's a little bit better in terms of how to help younger guys get their contracts and their money situation set up a little bit better and having them live with veterans,
Yeah, there
for a
definitely
couple
is
seasons.
in the NHL. There's by far much more of a natural maturity that you see in the
Mm,
NHL with guys that are drafted and stuff like that compared to the NBA or MLB or something like that. Guys are coming in, yeah. For example, with the Columbus Blue Jackets, when Pierre-Luc Dubois came in, um, he wasn't very good with English, and he's from Quebec, so he speaks French and from the French area of Canada. And David Savard, our defenseman, is from the exact same place. I think it was like one town over. So his first year and a half, he lived with David Savard. He
mm,
babysat his kids and things like that. And he helped him get to know Columbus, and
mm.
he helped him to understand English a little bit better. How uh, Torts wanted his structure ran and things like that. It's pretty cool. I mean, he wants out now, so peace out, Clown. But
Yeah,
it's
but that's what I'm saying, because you see a lot of younger guys living with veterans, and then even after that, you see guys still kind of rooming together, because you had guys like DeBrincat and Dylan Strom live together. You've had Tays and Kane at one
yeah,
point live together before they got girlfriends, and now Kane are with Patrick Kane the third and a bunch of stuff like that. So it seems like with the NHL, you have a lot of younger guys live with veterans, and then they finally get roommates on the team, and then eventually they get families and stuff like that. But at that point, they're in the league for so long. So
no, for sure.
I
In
like I
addition
get
to
what you're
that,
saying. It's just
yeah,
it's good to see that in terms of the NHL, you see a lot of more. Hey, I'm going to help you mature, help you become a pro. You know, because they're together a lot more. I mean,
yeah.
you have all these other sports that they're together for a long period of time, but I think with hockey, it's more of like the roster's a little bit smaller, but you have guys who are like we're all gonna. It's a bigger family in terms
Yeah.
of how it is compared to other
Oh,
sports, in my opinion.
yeah, for sure. And you got to take into consideration too, there are a lot of kids that, they've known each other for 15 years and they've played together in like the World Juniors and the ECHL and the OHL and the QMCHL or the Quebec Montreal. The, I don't remember the one that Lafreniere came from. Um,
Um,
and then a lot of
no,
these kids,
the QMJHL,
yeah.
the Quebec Major Junior Hockey, yeah.
And there's a lot of kids that have played in like Pee Wee leagues together too. Like they've known each other since they were 8. So
Yeah.
yeah, you have lifelong friendships and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Well, and you also have some guys who've also played in Europe too. I mean, you got guy who played in the German league, Austria, the KHL, and stuff like that too.
Oh
So I mean,
yeah.
there's Swiss league. I mean, you got guys who played with kids who played with men at certain points too. So you have to think that at some point that would also factor into it a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation for sure, but
Oh,
you definitely see a bigger maturity role in terms of hockey players compared to other sports.
oh, 100%. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So up next, we have Gary Bettman announces that the NHL losses for the 2020-2021 season are going to top $1 billion. He also stated that it would have been cheaper to not have the season as a whole, but teams wanted to be able to play for the fans. Um, that's a lot of money to start with, but I think that's cool that teams are like, you know what, let's take a hit because we want to play. The Players Association probably is like, I don't care. We just want to play hockey. And the
Yeah.
owners probably all in their GM and owners calls are saying, it's going to suck, but let's deal with it because let's be real. If as a whole, there's no fans this year and next season starts up and it gets back to somewhat normal,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of people that are going to be flocking to games next year is going to be asinine. There are
Oh,
going to
no
be
doubt.
a ton of people going to these games. And then on top of that, you're going to have guys going to games, going to the bars near like next door, getting completely trashed and just having a blast. So I think around all of the arenas, it's, business is going to be popping.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, and of course, this was we gotta give credit. So this was from Frank Staravali from TSN, who you know tweeted this out and stuff like that. So shout out to him. But no, I agree, man. It's for the fact that hockey was like, what, we know we're not going to make money, but we're not going to let that deter us So we're not going to tracks make our teams worse. Blah 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 blah. I mean, we can talk about baseball and all that crap. How teams are slashing payroll, but hockey is like, no man, let's get this going. So it's good to see that. Yeah, it's they understand like we're not going to make money, but we're
Yeah.
still going to play a season regardless. And the fact that it's 56 games, 114 days, playoffs are going to be different. But for the fact too that it worked out to where they're not going to make a whole lot of money, but they're going to get sponsors on the helmets. I know some teams are doing it for charity. I forget what teams exactly, but there are some teams that are doing a lot of their sponsorship charities
That's
on
cool.
their helmets. I forget. Maybe it was Toronto or Ottawa. I think it's probably Toronto. It was someone, or no, it was the King. I think it was the Kings. I think it was the Kings.
Yeah.
They're doing something like that. So where their helmet logo is going to be going for going to charity and stuff like that. So, and the fact you see a lot more, sponsor tarps on the seats and the boards and the glass and stuff like that. So I mean, and everyone's complaining, oh well, the sponsors are stupid, the helmet decals, the divisions. It's like, well, they got to make money somehow. And you think about this too. How many people do you probably know that are buying the crap out of NHL TV that live out of market from the teams they follow? Like, for me, I'm one of
I
them.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah. Well, you're in Columbus. You get the jackets, no problem. But you want to see.
I watched, man,
So,
what was it? Thursday. At one point, I was watching 5 games at once. I just had them up on my computer.
because your setup that you have, which is really nice, which I'm jealous of. I mean, last night, I live tweeted the Blackhawks game. That game ends. I catch 3/4 of the second period and the whole third period of the Colorado Blues game, which was the last game of the night. And then I'm like, well, it's 11. I don't want to go to bed, so I threw on Senators Maple Leafs, which ended like hours before. And I live in South Carolina. I mean, I have to have NHL TV because I need to watch every other team. I mean, I can't watch the Hurricanes because I live so close to Raleigh, but I get 30 other teams. Okay, so you got to think that's $100 or like 100. It's like 107 after tax.
Yeah.
You got to think the NHL is making some decent money on that. So I mean, whatever the NHL can do to make some type of money, yeah, it's it's one season. We're going to deal with these sponsorship stuff, but for the fact that the NHL is doing this and the fact that the owners are like, no, let's play, and like what you said, you're going to have fans. You're going to be like, if we do get fans next year, they're going to be like, all right, well, we got the one sport that is like cares about the fans, cares about keeping this going, and it's not driven by money. It's like let's get a product out there.
Yeah.
And let's make money through sponsorships because we
for
know
sure.
at some point we're going to get fans, and that's what I love about the NHL. That's why it's why becoming one of my favorite sports is just because it's a league that cares about fans and they understand that it's about the fans.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just great. Like, how can you not love hockey? I mean, how can you not?
One other thing that Gary Bettman announced was that they will be having the Lake Tahoe games on February 20th and 21st. And I don't remember exactly which days, but it is Boston versus Philly and Colorado versus Vegas. As a Blue Jackets fan, I am just going to call bullshit on this because there are 2 reasons why. Vegas is not even in kindergarten yet. I don't understand how they get this game. Secondly, the Global Series was canceled this year. So the Global Series was canceled, and originally that was going to be the Blue Jackets, the Avalanche, the Predators, and Boston. The 4 of us were supposed to go and play the Bruins and Predators were going to go play in the Czech Republic, and then the Avalanche and Blue Jackets were going to play in Finland. That got canceled, obviously, because of COVID. So what do? We give 2 of those 4 teams the outdoor game during the year that they were supposed to have the Global Series game. And then the other 2 teams get shafted. We're playing the Predators right now. Screw them. They don't want one. But honestly, it should have been, hey, these 4 teams are already set up for this. Let's give them this. No, we're going to give the, Colorado and Vegas and then, Boston and Philly. Between those 2 teams, I'm pretty sure they've had about 314 outdoor games. It's so frustrating. And I know as a Blackhawks fan, I don't want to say you don't understand because you guys have had a lot, but
Stadium Series, Winter Classics,
it's
it's a Saturday and Sunday, by the way, 20th
okay.
and 21st.
Yep.
And also Carolina got shafted out of their Winter Classic game that they were supposed to get at NC State's football
Oh
stadium.
yeah, I did forget about that.
Because they were given the Winter Classic this year, but they lost that. So
yeah.
And the thing that doesn't make sense to me though, like I understand a word like Tahoe because it's in California, but why are you sending Boston and Philly across the country when it's like maybe do two Central teams or maybe I mean I know you can't send the Canadian teams down, but like could you do like two Central teams like Columbus and Dallas or Columbus and Nashville?
I mean, I can kind of understand Vegas because Lake Tahoe is like 80% in Nevada. I mean, I get it. I do.
Colorado, yeah, because it's right there.
But yeah, Boston and Philly. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but at the same time, yeah, you can't throw 4 teams from this current West Division in there. But that's when you have Lake Tahoe
two
games.
from the Central.
Nothing says they have to only be at Lake Tahoe. They could do Lake Tahoe for, like, honestly, I think every team, especially starting next year, I think every team should have one outdoor game somewhere per season. I think that would be cool. The amount of stuff that you can bring in from that would be awesome. Whether it's like this Lake Tahoe stuff or it's a stadium series or, just a regular, at a basic ODR.
I think every team would be kind of hard to do. I think maybe per division, I can see that. I don't know about every other team because the logistics would be kind of crazy to do, and that's a lot of rings to take care of. So I mean, I say one per division kind of makes sense. I get what you're saying. It's just it kind of is like, all right, like why because Colorado got that stadium series with LA last year, and like you said, Boston and Philly had a lot of outdoor winter classics in Vegas. I mean, they're really pushing Vegas, which is kind of like, all right, we already know they're good. They made the Cup Finals. They made the playoffs every year. They keep getting better. They somehow avoid the salary cap issues. Yeah. So I get what you're saying. But can we just talk about the lack of because Shannon and Megan from Slapshot Sweethearts talked about this, and I wanted to touch upon this as well. The marketing for this Lake Tahoe series is absolute trash.
Oh, it's terrible.
They've done all they've done is a logo. It's on an because I think they were talking to the Colorado guys. I think it was like Rantanen and Bellamy. I'm sorry, I pronounced his last name wrong. They thought it was going to be on the lake, and it's like, no, we're on the 18th fairway of this golf course. It's off the lake. It's like, do it on the lake. That would have been cool. Something.
I mean, it would have been cool, but I think if they're probably thinking it from a safety perspective that they couldn't do that, and
well, I mean, there's not going to be fans there anyway. It's just a graphic. Like, can we do something cool with like? Doesn't seem like to me as the marketing kind of blah with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot better than MLB because the MLB is absolute trash when it comes to like letting people actually, create content off of, games and stuff. It's just the NHL, I think for me, it needs to be a little bit better with this. And Megan brought this up. They should have used the retro jerseys for this game. I hope they do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
What was the point of them getting the retro jerseys if you're not going to use them? And Megan even said this, shout out to her for this idea. And I even retweeted this saying, I'm all for this. You know how baseball does Players Weekend, right? With those the last couple of years, the jersey colors are absolute trash, but the nicknames are kind of cool. Do a retro week. Have all the teams just use our retro jerseys for the week. Whoever they're playing, stuff. I know some teams don't have home and road retros, but either if you're home or on the road, just wear your retros for the week. Boom, there you go. You can make a whole thing out of it.
Yeah.
Like, how cool would that be, though? You see all retro jerseys for an entire week in the NHL. How great would that be?
Oh, that would be sweet. I mean, it's the same type of mentality that I know I have. Other people, I'm sure, do too. With, I personally like the Blue Jackets alternate jerseys a lot, but they wear them like 4 times throughout an entire regular season. And I think
Yeah.
the same thing's going to happen. You have these reverse retros. They hyped it up so big, and a lot of teams got some really cool ones, and other teams didn't. Anaheim, but
Detroit. No,
oh,
Anaheim's is
Detroit's
okay.
boring.
I give Anaheim a little bit of a pass. It's good because they use those at one point. Detroit's are trash. Let's just say they are.
Oh,
Vegas is kind of boring. The Jets is really, I don't know what the color schemes they were doing for the Jets, but yeah, there are some like the Colorado Nordiques one,
mm-hmm.
probably
Pretty
the
dope.
best ones. Best ones. I kind of like the wild jerseys because it's got the North Star look.
Yeah.
But maybe instead of like the wild, maybe do like the Minnesota M, like how how they had the N for the North Stars.
Yeah.
Do like the M for Minnesota in that special N font.
Yeah, they
how
could.
cool would that have been? I think it'd be a little bit better in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
they could
sorry,
have done
but
that.
yeah.
I personally, my two favorites are the Carolinas, the Whalers, and then the Coyotes.
The Coyotes ones are slick. I mean, I'm glad they brought the Kachinas back because those are I still need to get a Kachina jersey because those are my they've always been my absolute favorites because those things are just so nice. But the fact that the ones they have now with the detail of the cactus and the desert on the bottom are so nice. I would say my two. I would say probably Colorado, the Colorado Nordique ones are pretty dope. Those ones are my favorite. Then I have to pick the I know I hate to say this because I know you're a Blue Jackets fan, but I kind of like the throwback Penguins jerseys. Those ones are kind of nice. This like the because it's that Mario, Yager, you got the Penguin down, going. A lot of people are like, well, the Rangers do that, but like when the Penguins did that, it was kind of cool, and the fact they kind of brought that back was really nice in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, the Islanders missed out on not using the Fisherman. How do you not bring back the Fisherman? Like that's just
they just got their blue, the shade of blue, and went 2 shades darker. And like, oh guys, this is it. This is perfect. We're done. No, guys, that looks ridiculous.
Can we admit though the Red Wings did an absolute trash job with the retro jerseys? Like
they forgot they had homework and turned it in last minute, and they're like, and I'm sure the NHL's like, good enough. That's fine.
It looks like a warm-up jersey.
Oh,
honestly.
Yeah. I mean, for them, it doesn't matter. Every game's a warm-up for them.
That's true. It almost looks like the All-Star game jerseys from like last year.
Yep.
Like, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just you can, but just change a few of the answers, and that's basically what it was. So,
yeah.
But going back to what we were saying, like think about how awesome a retro week would be of all these jerseys. Like you said, 4 times a season. What's the point? Like you got to do more than just 4 games.
Oh, absolutely.
But the NHL needs to step up with their marketing a little bit. I mean, it's better than a lot of other sports, but they can do so much more, much more, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Moving on, pretty cool little tidbit. The ECHL accepted new expansion teams in Coralville, Iowa, and I'm sure I'm going to mess this up. It's Troy Riviera, Quebec, for the 21-22 season. It's pretty. Sweet.
It's a Toews. I took a little bit of French, but it's not great. Yeah, it's like Rivieres. It sounded more Spanish than French, but I did. But yeah, it's basically 3 rivers. But honestly, I mean, hey, it's kind of cool. We're getting more teams. It's the ECHL, but hey, Quebec, you got a team. It's not the NHL, but it's something.
Oh, for sure. So we got a little bit of drama brewing up in the NHL. So I apologize if this is not correct, but what I saw is this is Connor McDavid's agent was throwing shade, saying star players should get special treatment from cross-checks. Jeff Jackson on Twitter, and I quote, "Great to see NHL hockey back last night. Such amazing athletes and so much speed and skill in the game now. But watching the abuse that star players take is hard to watch. Felt like the 80s with the cross-checks in the back and the hacking and slashing. NFL protects quarterbacks. Why don't we?" So you're telling me that just because it's a star player means they get special treatment? Absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. If you think they need special treatment because of who they are, tell them to go play in the damn NBA because this is insane.
Like, it's so stupid. I mean, Yeah, he brings up the quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, and look what happens. No one really likes how the NFL works with all the penalties and the fact that it's just defenses are an
Yeah.
absolute joke now because you can't even breathe on a receiver. You can't touch a receiver. You can't even touch the quarterbacks. Quarterback can barely get hit at all, and it's like it's a penalty. And that's not hockey. We're
No.
not. This game is not soft. Yeah, they've gone away with a lot of hits that were a lot of head hunting and finishing checks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I'm sorry, Gretzky didn't get. I mean, he did have a little bit of protection with McSorley, but Gretzky still got hit a lot. Pavel Bure got hit a lot. Stamkos has gotten hit. Crosby's gotten hit. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't a new thing. Like no one is, Patrick King got hit. Patrick King got hurt from a hit like that. Chris Letang and the Penguins, but that's a whole different story. It's just this is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard, and this is hockey. We're not
Yeah.
the NFL. We're not the NBA. I'm sorry. The NBA can do what they want with their, hey, we're going to rest guys. And now the NBA is like, hey, you can't really do that because it's a national televised game on TNT or ESPN. We don't want you resting guys. Yeah, sorry. You don't rest guys in the NHL. So you don't get special treatment because it's just going to make other guys like, well, what's the point that I can't do anything to them? Like,
No, it's
I understand. Suspensions are needed. Some of these illegal hits are taken out. They've done that, but this special treatment thing is so stupid. It's
no.
so dumb.
They're gonna
That's
sit
not
there.
what the sport's about.
No, they're going to take these games and turn them into 3+ hours because you're going to have, instead of 2 penalties or 3 penalties per game, you're going to have 9 or 10 just because you think, oh, well, this guy, hey, this is Connor McDavid or this is Sidney Crosby or this is Austin Matthews. Like, oh, they should get special treatment. If you touch these guys, you raise their jersey, it's automatic penalty. No, dude, it's hockey. It's the most physical sport. Okay, probably the most second physical sport after rugby, but one of the most physical sports on the planet. If you can't handle it, why are you in the NHL? I'm sorry. You know,
I bet. I bet you ask any player in this league, how do you feel about that? They're gonna be like, no. That no current NHL player is going to agree to this. And I'm sorry, you're comparing this to the '80s NHL.
no.
This is not
I
even
would
close to what the '80s NHL was like.
I would
You,
love to ask like Ryan Reeves. I would love to call him and be like, dude, what
oh
is your
man,
opinion on this? And he'll be like, watch. The next game he's gonna have against one of these guys, he's gonna go and beat the crap out of them. And then he's gonna laugh because you're not
I
gonna get
mean,
special treatment. I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean, you don't really see a lot of goons anymore in the NHL. You don't see. I mean, you still have enforcers, but you don't see like the goon mentality of like hockey is a physical sport. You're going really fast on skates on ice. You're going to have hard hits. The hardest hits in any sport because you're getting speed and a bunch of other things. And for the fact that you're asking for special treatment, no, like that's not
Yeah.
what the sport's about. Yeah, they've taken a lot of stuff out of it, but to say that, oh, we're going to, like you said, the games are going to take forever with like a million cross checks. I mean, there's crease battles all the time where guys are cross checking each other. I mean, just a slight bump. Guys are
Yeah.
slightly bumping guys to get them away from their goalies and stuff like that. We're going to call every little, nudge on a guy now. No,
Hmm.
I, it, it's just so stupid that Connor McDavid's agent, was it Jeff Jackson, comes out
Hmm.
and says this. I'm like, yeah, I bet you if I asked Connor, he'd be like, "No, I really don't agree with this." Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Like,
I mean, it's the same thing with
know the sport that you're representing your player in,
yeah.
your client in. That's
Now,
not. This is stupid. It's just stupid in my opinion.
well, nothing says that, you know, Connor called him up and said, "Hey, dude," or Austin Matthews called him and was like, "Hey, bro, like this is ridiculous." Because look at the exact same situation last year with Marc-Andre Fleury and his agent put that super controversial picture out with him on his knees with the knife in his back. Who knows? Marc-Andre, he probably had no idea that it happened. Who knows? I don't know, but it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. You know, has the league? I don't want to say the league has gotten soft. I'm not saying that, but it has if you want to compare it to the 70s or 80s, 100%. Because
Oh
back
yeah,
in the day of Ty Domi, he'd kick your ass just for fun. Now you have to have somebody that is going to bug you for 45 minutes, and then you have a 12-second scrap, and then the guys are like, "Oh man, is that good for you?" Yep. All right, cool, we're done. No, it's
Yeah.
light.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I mean, you do see stuff like that where I agree. You have a lot more guys now where it's like, all right, you have instigator penalties, you have all these things, you're getting rid of the headhunters and all that stuff, which is fine. I mean, we have to take concussion seriously, and with Montador, what happened to him, and everything that's going on with a bunch of other athletes. It makes sense. You gotta get rid of stuff like that. But to say that, oh, we're gonna call every little thing a penalty now and give guys
No.
special treatment, that's just gonna make guys go after the star players more. Because like, oh well, screw him then. I'm just gonna I'm gonna hit him harder because this is how I feel about your special treatment. And the AHL's not gonna let that slide.
No.
Like they're not gonna let guys get special treatment for that because it's just gonna make it so much worse then for all the star players because they're gonna go after gonna get after more. But the guys who are like, yeah, hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's dumb. Anton Forsberg had a very interesting trip this last week. So initially, he was with Edmonton, was placed him on waivers, was claimed by Carolina, who then put him on waivers, and was then claimed by Winnipeg. This all happened within about 3.5 days. An ex-Blue Jacket goalie, might I add. I mean, that's the way of the world now. You have these I don't want to say star goalies, but these veteran goalies who are signing, they're getting thrown around on waivers because of this taxi squad for this season. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild to see. And I mean, Carolina, man, smart job by them to pick him up and see how this goes. I mean, there was a good number of guys who did get picked up, off of waivers. Not a lot did, but
yeah.
I mean, if you want to do that, you're really setting yourself up for, to possibly lose guys. I mean, like we said, not a lot did, but there were some that were picked up. So
yeah,
it is what it is, man.
There was a lot of waivers going out, but I think everyone was expecting that, especially with this year and the taxi squad and all the nonsense going on.
Yeah. Now, going back to the drama situation, did you see this clip from Voracek and Konechny last night after the Flyers game last night? With
absolutely, it was hysterical.
Voracek is such a beauty for this because I love that. Like, you see other reporters and athletes in other sports kind of like it's kind of vanilla. And yeah, we do have some of that in the NHL. There's a lot of vanilla interviews, and honestly, we kind of need to have this. The NHL really needs to let their guys have a personality, and I think that's another marketing thing where it's like, let's give these guys a voice and let them be them. And Voracek's never really been one of those guys to be quiet about something or kind of just like whatever, because he's done this before, and chef's kiss.
I absolutely loved hearing this. So we're going to go ahead and play it for you guys, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Here is Jacob Voracek in post-game interview from yesterday, January 15th.
This for Jake. 2 games in, Jake, how different does the season feel, if at all, given the circumstances of the off-season and the condensed schedule and everything?
Doesn't matter what I say, Mike. You're going to write fucking shit every time. No, so it doesn't matter what you say. Yeah, it feels different. I mean, we got 4 points out of the first 2 games. I wasn't even going to answer your question because you are such a weasel. It's not even funny. Next question.
That is one of the best post-game clips I think I've seen in my entire life.
Oh, no doubt. We should have thrown a disclaimer out that this is they're going to hear some colorful language, but man, I mean, let's be honest. Philly media has always been terrible for the Flyers just in general. Cause I forget who it was. What was it? 3 or 4 years back? There was a whole nother, I think it was like Jeff Carter or someone else that was basically like, we're done. I think because the Flyer players actually had like a good few weeks of like, we're not going to talk to you guys because every time you ask us something, you'll post stupid crap in the papers and make us look bad.
Yeah.
So this is not something new that the Flyers guys have to deal with. And for the fact that Voracek just straight up was just like, bruh, you're a weasel. Like, screw you. I don't
Oh.
even know. I still answered your question, even though I just called you out twice. And after this, you look this up on YouTube and watch this. Look at Konechny's response to this, because they move on and they're asking Travis his question, and you see Konechny and Voracek just both dying.
Well, let's add in here too that Konechny was fresh off of a hat trick. So
Oh, which was phenomenal. I mean, hey, I got him some fantasy leagues.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Lucky.
Thank you for this.
But yeah, he's fresh off of a hat trick and he's nice and happy. And then all of a sudden you hear Voracek go off and he just kind of was looking around like, did he honestly just say that? I mean, okay.
And this is on NBC. This is on NBC Sports Philadelphia, live television, no bleeps at all.
No.
So they're not even on a delay. You're like, this is gonna be. I'm waiting for the answer to be like, yeah, we're gonna have to fine you a little bit for that. You kind of swore on national television, but it's like
they're probably gonna be like, we have to fine you. I mean, you're not wrong, but we have to.
Yeah, like we're like, it's like one of those things where like you don't want to laugh, but then you pull your kid to the side. Well, I mean, you probably know this. You pull your kid to the side, like, yo, that was pretty funny, but I cannot you can't really do that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, because you don't kind of want to laugh at first in front of whoever else, but then later on you're like, that was good.
I'm sure the guys, I'm sure they have a group chat, and that is just, I'm sure they're having a blast with that.
Like I said, you watch Voracek and just Konechny just laughing after this as Travis is getting his next question. It was just so great. Like A+ already for the fact that we're like now officially right now like day 4 into the season, and we've already gotten a great clip. Probably the clip of the year so far right now. Just
hands down.
I mean, Voracek. He's a beauty.
Yeah, so far clip of the year. I mean, all we have to do is wait for another controversial call with the refs, and Torts is going to just snatch that out of his hands. I mean, let's be real here.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because of what, Torts is one of those guys. I mean, we saw last year in the playoffs. I mean, he's like what, one question, and he's like, I'm good. Deuces, and he just walks out. He walks out of the what was it, the post game? I forget. Like, were you guys eliminated then, or was it like right before elimination? But he was just like, no, I'm not answering this question. I'm out. that was Jacob Voracek. Phenomenal stuff.
100%.
Phenomenal stuff. Day 3 after a win too. It's like, I'm here for it. I'm here for all the clips and guys having personalities, because you know what? It's 56 games, 114 days. Let's do it. It's already a wild season. Let's just let these guys do what they need to do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to period 2 of Canada's Tomahawks podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Hockey. To start, the Blue Jackets and Pittsburgh may have fans by season's end. But the problem is Columbus found a new strain of COVID-19 so that's kind of changing on the fly. Who knows where that's going to be? I know there was the Blue Jackets. The rumor is the Blue Jackets have officially filed their application with the state, the Ohio Department of Health, to get fans to come into games. But who knows where that's going to go?
Yeah, because I know Florida. I don't think Tampa is, but I know Florida. The Panthers are trying to get 20 or 25% capacity. I mean, for Ohio, I mean, you got Bengals and Browns games for the NFL and all their games, so you figure, 20% capacity is like what, 3,000 something fans for you guys. So I mean,
I think the big difference with that is, the Bengals and Browns, they have their outdoor stadiums, and the Blue Jackets are still indoors. Now I'm sure they have a top of the line air filtration system, but who knows?
Yeah,
we don't know what's going on with that.
Honestly, at this point, I really don't see fans coming in. If they do, great. If not, maybe for the outdoor games, maybe they might get lucky with that. But I really don't see.
I guarantee you, there's going to be spectators that show up. Maybe not like as official fans, but watch the Coyotes games. They have fans. It's actually enjoyable watching their games because they have a bunch of fans, and they've done pretty well the last couple games.
I mean, can't go wrong with that. I know. I know the Spit and Chicklets guys. Some of them are down in Arizona right now at Business Place, so they're doing live streams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I mean, watch out. I know we talked about the Coyotes maybe not doing something this year, but you never know, man. You never
Yeah.
know with the Coyotes.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got Tampa Bay signs Cristobal Nieves to I believe it was a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
It was pretty good pickup for them. Nice third or fourth line type of signing.
yeah.
The Stars returned to practice on the 12th. So a couple days
Good
ago,
for
they
them.
officially returned to practice after all the nonsense. So I
Good
think
for them.
they're not able to start until the 22nd, I believe.
19th. No, 19th. They're back on the 19th.
Oh, are they back? Because I saw it was the 19th, and then
Oh,
apparently it moved to the 22nd.
Oh, did they move it again? I didn't see them
Yeah.
move it. I know from last thing I heard was the 19th. They moved it back then.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're gonna have a fun time. We're scheduling those games.
Oh, for sure. Some more drama going on in Florida. The other side of Florida, trade rumors going around with Keith Yandel. Apparently, he's not happy with the situation, to an extent, but their GM Bill Zito was rumored to tell him that he is going to scratch him until he waives his no trade clause, which is kind of a shitty thing to do because he has an Ironman streak of 866 games going, and that would ruin that streak.
I think that's fourth active as well. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't agree with that at
dude,
all. He is catching a ton of flack for this. And I saw a report earlier today. I don't remember who. It was on Twitter. I don't remember who had it, but apparently Bill Zito is backing down and saying that he's going to start, I believe, tomorrow. So I'm sure he got a lot of flack from that. But man, how would you feel if you're Keith Yandel and you have this streak of 866 games, so over 10 years it seems like, and he's just going to bench you because he doesn't want you.
Which is even the more crazier part because you look at Keith Yandel and his numbers have never gone down.
Yeah,
he's still a consistent player even for his age, and it is such a crap situation. This organization is an absolute, I'm sorry, it's a joke. If you're a Panthers fan, I'm sorry, but it is. For the fact that you guys, what you did to one of your head coaches dirty a few years back, basically firing him right after an away game. You don't even let him come back home first. And now you got Keith Yandel, who's really loved by a lot of fans, who's really good. He's a top defender, puts up points every year. His decline, he hasn't been on a decline ever. Now you're going to healthy scratch because you don't want him. How do you not want this guy in your lineup? I mean, outside of him, who are the defenders in Florida for them? I mean, what are you doing? He's one of your best defenders. He's the sock master for a reason. Like, come on, man. Like, how are you going to do this guy dirty? I mean, I'm curious to see what Quenneville thinks of this because there's no way he's going to he's like, well, you know what? We're not going to play him because he's not productive, which I don't think he's actually going to say that because Yandel's actually productive. It's such an absolute joke.
No, I 100% don't agree with it. I mean, let the guy play. Because what's the worst that can happen? He's going to score goals for you. He's going to get points. He's going to help you win.
Oh, he actually played defense. Like, I understand if he maybe gets hurt and loses the Ironman streak, but if you're going to lose your Ironman streak by a scratch, you're an absolute joke of an owner and a GM or whatever. Like, we know that there's guys who've had milestones broken, like, Mike Badana when Detroit, with Mike Babcock didn't play him. He didn't get I think it was I think it was 1,500 games or something like that. It was some milestone that Madonna was going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Like a certain number of games they would have played as a career. He didn't get it. Like if you're, because he didn't want to play him that game. It's like, don't be that guy who's going to be an absolute dick and ruin someone's milestone or a streak because you don't want to play them. Like, don't do this.
That's so selfish and immature.
Don't break an Ironman. Like, I understand if he's playing really bad and it's like, okay, we can't play him anymore. He's not productive. That I can see if he's not a productive guy. But if he is productive, don't do that.
No.
Don't be that guy.
Nope.
And I feel bad for Keith, and hopefully they do let him keep this streak going. And you know what? Honestly, man, if I was Keith Yandel, I would ask for a trade. Go somewhere they're going to need me. I mean, think of all the teams they're going to have. You would love to have Keith Ian on their defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston, maybe Columbus. I don't know how you feel about having Keith Yandel. I mean, there's so many teams that will love to have Keith Yandel on their defense. Arizona, maybe LA Kings. I mean, how this guy's good. So
Yeah.
overall, this is just a stupid thing. But talking about like I said with Modano and Detroit with Babcock and all that nonsense. Even you said it earlier. Dylan Larkin is the new captain of the Detroit Red Wings, which honestly kind of makes sense. I mean, he's young, he's really good. He's gonna be the face of that franchise for a while, so it kind of makes sense. I mean, are you even really shocked that Dylan Larkin? I mean, it was kind of the writing on a wall at this point. Like Dylan Larkin was gonna be the next captain.
Yeah, it makes 100% sense and does not surprise me one bit. I mean, good for him. I'm glad that Detroit has another captain and a really good kid, and especially with Steve Y coming in, good for them.
Yeah, it's good they actually have a captain and not like Ottawa or all these other places have like 3 alternates. So
Yeah.
Good for them for sure.
So we also have the NHL effective the 13th. They are going to be releasing COVID protocol players regularly. So instead of unable to play or anything like that, they're just going to notice or outline players that are on COVID protocol. I don't know how that affects me in any way, shape, or form, but if a guy is out and he's on COVID protocol, I know why. So cool.
Yeah, it's basically what the NFL is doing. They're like, hey, this guy's on protocol. He's now off protocol. It's just to let you know what's going on and stuff. So, I mean, at least like, hey, this is why he's not playing. Unlike, Jonathan Toews, which we'll get to it later. Eventually, it's like, illness, don't know what it is. So it's at least we have some clarity of what's going on. So
it helps for sure.
Yeah.
So coming up, we're going to talk about the upcoming milestones in the NHL. Keep in mind, this is as of prior to the season starting on Wednesday. So there are a couple of these. For example, Patrick Kane, it was 389 goals. Now, he got a goal or was it yesterday? So some of these may not be 100% accurate, but these are guys that are on milestone approaches. Zach, who do we got in games with skaters?
Yeah, so we got guys who are approaching the 1,000 game mark for the skaters. Travis Zajac for the Devils. He only needs 9 to hit 1,000. Of course, it's like what Alex said. This is back on the 10th of this month. So, we're probably a little bit closer to that now. So, like I said, Sajac's needs 9 more. Shea Weber of Montreal needs 10. Sidney Crosby of the Penguins needs 16. Keith Yandel, who we were talking about, only needs 24 to hit 1,000. Could you imagine hitting an Ironman streak of 1,000 games?
I'd be furious.
Like, dude, no. Patrick Kane only needs 27. Louis Eriksson of Vancouver needs 30. Brian Coburn of Ottawa needs 36. Jordan Stahl of Carolina 39. Milan Lucic of Calgary 42. Nicholas Backstrom 44. David Backes of Anaheim. I didn't even know Backes was in Anaheim. He needs 50. Andrew Ladd of the Islanders needs 50. And Paul Stastny of Winnipeg needs 55.
That's
more
crazy.
games to hit 1,000.
A lot of guys that are going to hit that 1,000 games this year.
It's crazy, man. It's wild to think that you guys got Ladd, Stastny, Backes, Backstrom, Luch. I mean, it's crazy to think these guys wow, these guys are already hitting 1,000 games. And you feel like it wasn't even that long ago that these guys were just hitting the league. I mean, Kane hit the league in 2008. And you think about it now, it's like, it has been 12 years, but it's just insane how all these guys are hitting 1,000 games for the skaters.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, moving to goals, like Alex said, Patrick Kane did score last night. I'll talk about that later on in the show. He is now at 10, but as of this list, he needs 11 to hit. This is for 400 goals. So Patrick Kane needs 11. Zach Parise of Minnesota needs 14. Jeff Carter of the Kings needs 18. Corey Perry, who's in Montreal now, needs 23. Phil the Thrill Kessel needs 29. And Joe Pavelski of the Dallas Stars only needs 31 to hit 400 goals.
That's crazy. And I think good old Hot Dog Phil scored a couple goals earlier today. I don't know if it's 1 or 2, and he's scored 3 goals so far between the first 2 games because I heard something on the radio. They were talking about how Phil Kessel now is tied for goals as Connor McDavid for the season, which I thought was hilarious. I know it's only 3, but still, it's pretty funny to hear that.
Well, speaking of milestone goals, Mika Rantanen last night for the Avalanche hit his 100th goal, and
nice.
then Landeskog hit 200 goals because he got 2 goals last night of that 8-0 barrage on the Blues. So Landy's got 200 now, and Miko just hit 100. So congrats to those guys for hitting 200 and 100 in the same game.
That's pretty
so
sweet.
Want to throw that out there real quick for those guys. Give them a little bit of a shout out for those hitting those milestones against the Blues, which was, as a Blackhawks fan, amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Not upset about that.
With assists, these are some of the skaters approaching 600 assists. It's only 4. Jason Spezza of Toronto needs 1. Eric Stahl from Buffalo needs 15. Good old the great 8 Ovi needs 28, and Claude Giroux of Philadelphia needs 42 assists to hit that 600 mark.
Did Spezza get that assist yet, or is he still looking for that assist to hit number 600? Do you know?
He may have. I'm not sure. I'm just enjoying watching Ottawa. That's all.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I was just curious. Because I didn't watch that full Senators Maple Leafs game. I didn't know Spezza got that assist yet, but.
Now we got another 4. We have 4 skaters that are approaching 1,000 points. Ryan Getzlaff of Anaheim needs 35. Anze Kopitar of the Kings needs 50. Spezza once again needs 60, and Backstrom with Washington needs 73 more points to hit 1,000.
Let me ask you this: who do you think is gonna? Do you think Getzlaff probably will hit 35? Do you think Anze is going to hit 50 this year? Do you think he's going to get those 50 points to hit 1,000, or do you think he's just going to miss it because of how many games we have to play? 50 points in 56 games. I mean, it's possible.
Tough. I think he'll hit it. It'll be late in the season. It depends on how they're, if, for example, like if Quentin Byfield comes up and is playing really well, who knows? Yeah. Maybe they'll be on a line and he'll just start just dishing that out to him all the time. No idea.
I mean, Anze did get, I think he got like 50 something, like upper 40s or almost. I think he got some 50 something points last year. Of course, it was 60 something games. So I wouldn't be surprised if Anze did get it, honestly, because Anze Kopitar he's always lethal for the Kings. Yep. So I think he might do it. Like I said, Getzlaff, that's kind of like, all right, there's no way he doesn't get the 35 because, the Ducks do kind of stink, but I think Anze honestly will get those 50 to get those 1,000 points. Mm-hmm. So moving on to goalies, we're now on to games, and this is for 500 games for goalies. Semyon Varlamov of the Islanders only needs 7, but I did see he did get hurt in warmups today, so it might take a little bit for him to hit those points or those games. I don't know how long he's out for. I just know he did get hurt in warmups, so hopefully he's all right. So prayers for Varlamov, and hopefully he'll be back soon. Brian Elliott of the Philadelphia Flyers needs 28. I doubt he hits 1,000 this year because the fact he got kind of hot in goals. So I don't see Elliott hitting 28 unless the Flyers are so far ahead in the East that they might give Hart some time, but I don't see it happening.
I see him maybe getting 10 or 12.
Yeah, something like that, because Carter Hart's on another level right now. And then Brandon Holtby of the Vancouver Canucks needs 32, which I do see this one happening because Thatcher Demko is good, but if you're getting Brandon Holtby as your number 1 goaltender, you gotta give him most of the starts. So I think Holtby does get the 32 to get those 1,000 to get the 500. Yeah. What do you think Holtby's gonna get it?
If not, it's going to be like 2 or 3 away. Yeah. I think it all depends on where Vancouver's going to be when it comes time to the playoff push and stuff like that. Possibly. Yeah. I think he has a good chance. Absolutely. But we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So we have a handful of goalies approaching 40 shutouts. So one stipulation is Mike Smith from Edmonton needs 1. He already received the Milestone Award, but this is when the criteria was 25 shutouts, so he'll get it again. Braden Holtby from Vancouver needs 5. Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida needs 6 more to hit that 40 mark. Ben Bishop in Dallas needs 7. And Devin Dubnyk of the new San Jose Sharks needs 8.
I can tell you right now, the last 3 guys are not going to hit any of those this year because
No.
Bobrovsky can't stop a beach ball. Ben Bishop's hurt. And Devin Dubnyk, basically just like Martin Jones in San Jose, they couldn't even stop a beach ball if it was coming at them with a knuckle puck type mentality. I mean, Braden Holtby is the only guy that has a shot at getting 40 shutouts. And 5 is already hard enough because you maybe get lucky to get 2 a season. So unless Holtby goes on an absolute tear and gets 5, I mean, there is a good possibility that might happen. I mean, maybe against Winnipeg, maybe because Calgary, Edmonton at the wrong time. Montreal, I don't know about that. Toronto, it's possible. I mean, Toronto's an up and down team, so I think Holtby has a better shot than the rest of these guys on this list to hit the shutout mark. Because I'm sorry, Bobrovsky, Bishop, and Dubnyk, not going to happen. One of those guys is actually hurt. So So take that as you will.
Yeah. Moving on to period 3 with Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Hockey. The Columbus Blue Jackets signed Michael Del Zotto to a 1-year deal. Not surprising. Cam Atkinson was tied for the NHL record, which was scoring in 6 straight season openers, and he's still tied for that. He failed to hit that 7 mark. The closest under him was Austin Matthews with 4, who also failed to score. So both players were set back to 0 goals in a row in season openers. Mikko Koivu was placed on COVID protocol earlier in the week, hence why he has not played in our season opener against Nashville, and the game that is currently going on now, probably over. He also wasn't in that. He might play Monday in Detroit. I don't know. From the Blue Jackets side, we placed Nathan Gerby, Gavin Bayreuther, Adam Clendenning, Zach Dalpe, Stefan Matteau, Ryan McKinnis, and Cam Johnson on waivers. Most of those guys are on our taxi squad. Torts officially confirmed that Pierre-Luc Dubois wants out.
I mean, are we really shocked by this? I mean, it's kind of known at this point. Oh, just the game did end for you guys.
I know it's not a win. Just, you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
5-2 Nashville.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that news. You make me so happy.
Hey, if it makes you feeling better, the Islanders did get shut out 5-0 to the Rangers, and the Red Wings did beat Carolina. So, I mean,
wow. All right.
and the Canadians won 5-1 against the Oilers.
Nice.
So,
all righty.
We'll talk about those next week. But yeah, sorry that your team. So basically, both of our teams are 0-2 to start the season. So
thanks for reminding me. In other news, I am looking for another co-host.
That's hey man. At least your team didn't give up 10 goals in 2 games. So I mean, take that for what it's worth. Penguins 11-2. So I mean,
so there were a couple other trade rumors that sparked this week. I'm not going to touch the PLD and Patrick Laine one. We've already dealt with that. Everyone sees it everywhere. Whatever. There was one for Anaheim. It was for, I believe, Zegras pick, the prospect or something for Pierre-Luc Dubois. There was one for Boston as well. There's about 15 different ones. Boston fans think that Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to come over for a 7th round pick and like a pair of dirty jeans. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
The 2 most interesting ones I found were from Montreal and the Rangers. So starting with the Rangers, the consensus that I saw was it would be something along the lines of Pierre-Luc Dubois would go to the Rangers, and in return, we would get something like Capo Caco, Brandon Lemieux, and like a first round pick or one of their prospects or something like that. A lot of guys were saying that, oh, well, we should just trade Pierre-Luc Dubois for Lafreniere straight up. Now, personally, from a logistic standpoint, do I think that would be a good trade? Absolutely. Because Pierre-Luc Dubois already has 3+ seasons under his belt in the NHL. He is already proven himself to be a first line center, on some teams, a second line center. He's worth the money. Lafreniere has played 2 games effective now. So you have no idea how he's going to be. Everyone thought Jack Hughes was going to be, the greatest thing since sliced bread last year, and he was very underwhelming. Do I think the Rangers are going to do that? Absolutely not, because it's not every day you come across a player like that, and they're going to do what they can to keep him. Do I think Capo Caco could easily get traded? 100%. If they were that interested in Dubois, I think Caco is not off the table. Lafreniere is 100% off the table, even though I could justify as to why we could make that trade, because are you going to be able to afford him in 3 years when his entry-level contract is up? He could be a McDavid type player, and okay, well, we're going to sign him for 8 years at $11 million. Great. How are you going to afford that? No idea. The last one, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, let's say the Rangers one is kind of interesting. Lafreniere straight up for PLD. That's kind of, as the Jackets, do you really want to make that move though, to go for an unknown for something like that? I mean, Kako and like Brandon Lemieux, I can kind of see that, but Lafreniere straight up, I mean, that's kind of a bold move to go for an unknown compared to a guy that.
If I was in the shoes of Yarmo, our GM, would I take it? Yes. In our current situation right now, yes, because then it does a couple of things. One, PLD wants out. Cool. See you, cupcake. I don't want you here if you don't want to be here. Fine. Number 2, that solidifies pretty much as Max Domi is our number 1 center. So he would move up to the first line. Now his contract is up after next season. In my opinion, that would mean, hey, guess what? You're going to be our number 1 guy. We'll sign you. So then I could see a 5 or 6 year deal come with him. Okay, cool. So then Lafreniere would come in, and he could be a solidified, to begin with, third line, second line wing, which is what we need right now, because our top line, the last 2 games, our top line is pretty set in stone. So, I mean, it is Torts, so it's set in stone for about 8 seconds, and then who knows what's going to happen. But
right.
Again, would I take it? Yes. Is it going to happen?
Probably not.
No way.
So what's the other team that you're thinking that Matt makes it interesting if they do trade?
Montreal Canadiens. So
man, you guys love trading with Montreal. Like you guys will just send everyone. So is this like the Carolina Hurricanes and the Blackhawks, or it's like the Chicago Hurricanes? So are you guys going to be like the Columbus Canadiens, or it's like you guys are just swapping players constantly?
Oh, we already have. So the Columbus Blue Jackets South, aka the Florida Panthers, have about 212 of our ex-players and our old assistant GM. The Montreal Canadiens are the Columbus Blue Jackets North, the Canadian division. Since they have Josh Anderson, there's a couple other picks they had. Also, Ottawa is in the same boat. I've seen a lot of different reports with this, because I've seen situations where it was, I think, Cole Caulfield. Oh, he's on the table. No, he's not. Okay. Kanyemi, he's on the table. No, he's not. Okay. Nick Suzuki. Oh, he's on the table. No, he's not. There's a million different scenarios people are running around, and they think they're going to hand us a freaking Tim Hortons coupon and call it a day to get Dubois. Like, no way, dude. No way.
Isn't Nick Suzuki from Columbus? Or I know there's someone on Montreal that's from the area.
I don't know.
Or why am I wrong about that?
They possibly could. I'm not sure.
But honestly, if you get Nick Suzuki, that would be a fantastic move. I mean, Nick Suzuki is good.
Yeah.
I mean, was it Kokniemi? Is that the other kid that you mentioned? I mean,
I could
He's
see
good.
he's probably the most realistic out of the bunch, in my opinion.
Yeah, Suzuki is a really big stretch, but Kokaniemi though, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad move. But then you have to ask this though: are you getting anyone else in the deal, or are you getting picks along with him?
Oh,
Because
it was something like him and Victor Mete and like a first round pick or something. It's
that would
been a
that would
million
be.
bucks.
I mean, that would be bad, honestly, if you get those two and a first rounder.
Mhm.
I agree. I think Suzuki's kind of. I don't think that's going to happen. But if you get Kokaniemi and the other guy and a first rounder for
Yeah.
PLD, that's not really a bad move. And I mean, PLD's from Quebec, so I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. But like you said, is this a deal where you think it's going to happen during the season, or you think this is going to be more of an off-season type move because of just with everything that's going on?
Honestly, I don't see it happening during the season, especially with a Canadian team that's going to wait until after the season because of all the travel restrictions and quarantine and all that nonsense.
Because what is it, like 10 days or 14 days that you have to wait to get to meet up with your
Uh,
team? Because I
I
forget what the
think
I
I think
forget what the
it's
protocol
like it depends what state and then also where you're coming from. I think like if you're coming from Canada, it's like a 10-day quarantine. If you're coming from America, it's like a 14-day or something like that.
No, from Canada to the U.S. it's 7 days because of
Oh,
well, I'll mention that later with the Blackhawks because we're
that's
dealing
fine.
with that right now. But I think it's 7 if you're coming from Canada to the States. But if it's the reverse, I would be surprised if it was 14 days
Yeah.
but of course it depends on the province too because I know Ontario is pretty bad, but I don't know how it is in Quebec province of all their COVID cases.
Yeah. Last thing on the Blue Jackets side is one of my fellow Blue Jackets fans and I are going to be making donations based on the season. Justin Needham is making a bunch of donations towards for Cam Atkinson and his Force Network Fund. I am doing the same thing, but instead I am doing donations towards the Janice Foligno Foundation. We are both doing $5. I am doing $5 per Nick Foligno goal, $5 per Columbus Blue Jackets win, $100 for each Nick Foligno or Cam Atkinson hat trick, $25 for playoff win, $1,000 for a Stanley Cup victory, and then for fun, $250 for a David Safard hat trick or a single period hat trick by anybody, and then $500 per goalie goal. Nick Foligno and Cam Atkinson are amazing guys. They've done so much for the city, so much for the organization and the fans in Columbus, and it's times like this we want to be able to help them out. Nick's wife just wrote a book um, regarding their kids' health issues with their heart. And I mean, just amazing people. And it's stuff like this, just giving back, helping other kids and things like that. So I think it's going to be fun and we're going to have a really awesome season.
No, that's awesome, and that's really cool. So, yeah, if anyone else wants to jump in on that, please, just DM the podcast or talk to Alex talk to Alex and see what you need to get on that because yeah, that's a great thing to do for sure. So that's awesome, man.
How about your Hawks?
Oh, man, where do I begin with this? So basically, before I get to the games, there's a lot of news going down. Kirby Dach and Jonathan Toews have been placed on LTIR. This is for some cap relief, depending on how long it is. Some guys are 10 days, which is, for Toews, 24 for Dach, but, Kirby Dach's going to be out for 4 to 5 months because, his wrist was broken 6 ways from Sunday and it looks like an S curve. So that's no big deal. Jonathan Toews, that kind of stinks. He's automatically because once you're automatically placed on LTIR, you are gonna have to miss 10 days. So who knows when he's back? There's been no timetable. There's been reports that he might not even be back for the season. That kind of
Yeah.
worries me because we really don't have a number 1 or a number 2 center because while Dylan Strom's okay, he's not a first line center and I really don't know if Pius Suter's one or Lucas Walmark, and I really know how I feel about that. And Carl Soderberg, it looks like he might be the team's number 1 center. He has been dealing with immigration issues, but he has been cleared of that. He's right now currently on a 7-day quarantine. I think he's 3 days in, I think so, but he'll be back when the team comes back from their Florida trip. So after the
Mhm.
Florida Panthers game on Sunday and I think Tuesday, I think that's the Sunday Tuesday. Um, he'll be back with the team before
Nice.
before the home opener series. So most likely he might be the number one center. They might move Strom down to 2, then probably move Walmart down to 3, and then they're going to have to deal with what they're going to do with Pius Suter and David Camp at the 4 spot. So it's rough. And then Brent Seabrook has been placed on IR because he's dealing with back issues. So who knows how long that's going to be? And that's another thing where we dealt with Murphy a few years back. He missed a few amount of games because he had back problems. He came back in like November. So now we're dealing with Brent Seabrook. So it's just one of those things where it's like we're losing more guys, we need more bodies, and it's just not really working out. And honestly, losing Toews and Dach has not been ideal.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh, I can imagine.
yeah. I mean, I'll get to the games here in a little bit, but it's not ideal. We talked about earlier. Patrick Kane is at 390 goals, so he's only about 10 away from 400, and he's also at 975 games, I think, right now, or 976. He's also close to 1,000. But in terms of goals, he'll be the 10th active player, 10th American-born player, the 100th NHLer, and the 4th player in Hawks history to hit 400 goals. So Patrick Kane is really close to hitting 2 milestones this year.
That's impressive.
Games and goal. I mean, Patrick Kane, man, he's just for his age and for the fact that he can still do what he does. I think the over under for him this year was like 62 points or something like that. I mean, that is insane, but I mean, it's Patrick Kane. I mean, let's be honest. The dude
Yeah.
to play until he's like 40 and still probably put up points. It's just how good he is. And now he's got that dad strength that everyone wants to talk about because he has Patrick Kane the third, so he might get a little extra, saucy with some of his play.
Oh yeah.
And this is another thing that Blackhawks fans are not really too happy about. Jeremy Colleton, got a 2-year contract extension, and that basically matches the Duncan Keith contract, the Jonathan Toews contract, the Patrick Kane contract, and the Stan Bowman contract. So basically, everyone is within 2 years of finishing up, and I think Seabrook is 3 or 4, somewhere around there. So basically, Stan Bowman is hitching his wagon to Colleton, and I really don't know how I feel about that because Bowman has said that, oh, hey, Colleton's really doing a good job of, helping these young guys get better. And it's kind of like, can you give me an example of when, Stan? Because Adam Boquist has done nothing to help. I've seen no progression from him, and he didn't look great in the bubble. And starting out this season, really not that much better either. And you could say Kirby Dach, but Dach kind of got better on his own during the pause. So I don't really know how I feel about this because the fact that Jeremy Colleton's going into his 3rd season already as the head coach, and we really haven't seen a whole lot of progress with this team and just overall how the team plays and the guys getting better. And his style of play doesn't work, and Stan's acting like that. They're just trying to figure out what trying to get the guys to play in his style. And at some point, you're like, shouldn't you fix your style to how your team is rather than make your team play to your style? Because this team is not fast. The Blackhawks are not a fast team. And for whatever reason, this rotation thing that Jeremy wants to do with his defense when the Blackhawks are in their zone is about rotating guys around, and which is fine, but that's when you have a fast team. The Hawks aren't fast, and that's why you're seeing guys out of position and the team giving them a lot of goals. That's why the defense is kind of like that's why it's been the worst in the league for the last 2 years, because they give up way too many shot opportunities.
Yeah.
Because of how the scheme is set up, and that's what's going on with Jeremy Colleton and just how his system is. His system does not fit this team. So him getting a 2-year contract extension makes me kind of nervous. It's like, am I really going to sit through this season and then 2 more years of this? If so, man, this is going to be a fun podcast for you to deal with for the next 3 years. If I'm going to have to watch Jeremy Colleton and the Blackhawks have a really shoddy defense if we can't score a bunch of goals and don't have really good goal. The goaltending is kind of suspect right now. So,
oh, sure.
And, the Hawks have placed Anton Lindholm, John Quenville, Nick Seeler, and Matt Tompkins on the waivers. The thing with Nick Sealers is today, I saw from a bunch of other guys who cover the Hawks, Mark Lazarus, Charlie Meliodas, Ben Pope, and all that. Nick Sealer has been placed on unconditional waivers, which basically means is that either that both sides agreed to put him on waivers to get him out of there now and don't even have him on the taxi squad, or the Blackhawks have proper cause to get rid of him. And honestly, if anyone saw the scrimmage that happened for the Blackhawks before the season started, and the fact that Nick Seeler was actually beating on a player who was already down on the ice, instead of when he hits the ice, you let him go. Basically, I guess I didn't see that part, but Nick Seeler apparently didn't, and not a lot of people were happy about that. So honestly,
No.
there's your cause. Basically,
I think I saw that, and that's not cool, man. Especially in a practice. I mean,
with your own teammate, like,
yeah,
bro. I know you.
I
I know
understand you're gonna boil over. Like PK Subban got into a fight with one of his teammates.
That's a whole different. PK Subban's had a run in with a lot of his teammates this offseason.
Yeah,
I don't know what his deal is right now.
Oh, he's still upset over getting broken up with Lindsey Vonn. So, whatever.
Okay. I heard someone else was talking, but I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Chicklets or who. So I know someone was talking about it, but.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's not cool, man. If you're like, why? Like, I understand. Yeah, you might like. There's gonna be fights all the time in scrimmages. Fine, whatever, no big deal. But if there's that code of like, all right, if one of the guys hits, drops on the ice, you don't just keep beating on the dude. Like, you stop, let him get up, and you guys skate off. So
yeah,
I'm really shocked that the Hawks are like, yeah, no, you're not going to be part of this team if you're going to be doing stuff like that. So
no,
and I think there was and there was a tweet that was put out. I think I have it saved. Give me a second. Oh, they did say something about how Sealers. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think I saved that. But yeah, so it's just something where it's like, it's just crazy that I think Sealers had like a $975,000 contract left for like 1 year. So Hawks are like, whatever, just get off our team.
Yeah.
But talking about these games, this is the part I wasn't really looking forward to. Basically, the Hawks got outscored 10-3 in the last 2 games to start the season. I mean, it's the former Stanley Cup champs. It is what it is. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think every game's gonna be like this, but to start off with the former Cup champs, that's kind of rough. And you would think that maybe the games have been kind of close. First period of the first game wasn't really that great, down 3-0. Urgency there was really no urgency from the team. You didn't really seem like those guys were kind of on it. Malcolm Subban, you heard all offseason, hey, this guy's been working on his rebound control. He's supposed to be a little bit better in terms of, getting to the next step.
And gives up goals on rebounds.
Rebound control was really bad. I have to give him credit. He did have that one really good save. I forget who it was on, but he did make that really great save with his paddle to stop an empty. Basically, it's like he plays like he wants to for the more acrobatic saves instead of like where we're seeing from Corey Crawford when it was like he's going to square up to the puck. He's going to stop all the really easy ones. He might let a couple softies in, but he's going to basically be squared up. With Subban, it seemed like he wants to be like Dominik Hasek or Osgood or all these guys who were like, oh, I'm going to make some ridiculous saves.
Yeah.
Be flashy,
sure.
like Richter and all those guys back in the day. And it's just you have to control the rebounds. And unfortunately he didn't do that. And that kind of puts the defense in a bad situation because now they got to have guys in the crease to clean that up. Sometimes it doesn't really work out so well. Of course, the defense is kind of played out of position. They kind of left, they did leave Subban at the dry a few times, but still though, it's like, you can't be doing stuff like that. And of course the Hawks did get one back, but it was kind of like a weird, Strome was trying to pass the puck out front of the net, but it went off a Tampa Bay player's skin and went in. So it's kind of like we did get a goal, but it's kind of like one of those, you take what you get type of goals. But I mean, you lose 5-1. that game just got bad from the start and it just got
Yeah.
worse. And then game 2, I mean, the first period was a lot better. Colin Delia was playing really well. The defense was playing really good. And then the third period, it was kind of like how it was, or in the second period, it was like how it was in the period, the game before where they gave up 3 goals, but they did get 2 back. Alex DeBrincat scored, awesome goal. That was a great feed by Dylan Strome. And then, Alex DeBrincat with a nice pass to, Patrick Kane, and Patrick Kane shelves one with a fantastic backhand. Like, you would have to put that in the Louvre. That's how just beautiful this backhand was. And, they got within 3-2. You think, all right, this is gonna be good going to the third period. It's 3-2. This game's close, and then unfortunately, Tampa just puts in a couple. They put in a couple more, and it's 5-2. I mean, I don't think the game really the score doesn't reflect the game. It's just unfortunately, Colin Delia did mess up that first goal. I have to admit, it was a bad miscommunication, but he did say, that was my bad. It is what it is. I can't really blame Colin. I mean, Colin Delia hasn't played a game since March 2019. Like, and we don't play hockey, Alex, but you have to admit, like, you haven't played a game in over 2 years, like almost 2 years. You kind of have to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
for sure. You
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
just expect him to come in here and post a 45 save shutout for 5 games in a row. Like, he's gonna suck. But that's just because you're going from
pains.
I mean, you're going from completely different levels of play, and you can't expect them to do amazing stuff all of a sudden.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just crazy to think that, a lot. Subban, I don't think Subban is a guy you see, he's not really a starter. It's clearly he's not. And Colin Delia, he did play a lot of games, when, Subban wasn't even there, when Corey Crawford was hurt. So, I mean, it's definitely something that, I feel bad for Delia because, you think he'd be the guy that would be the heir apparent to Crawford. Then they get Robin Leonard. Then they trade him away. They let Crow walk. And then you get Subban. And then you get Subban starting. And it's like, now every game's going to have to matter because if you have a bad game, that might hurt you in getting more playing time. It's like, that's just a lot to put on a guy who's basically sat out for almost 2 years and be like, all right, here's a game. Go play the former Cup champs. We just got our brakes beaten off the first game. Go do something. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, you're tossing him the keys to a Ferrari, and he just got his license. Like, have fun, enjoy, don't die.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
come on.
I honestly, I love Colin Delia. I think he's gonna be really good. I mean, his number 60, so you go from 50 to 60, Crow to Delia.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. I'm here for it. And it's just unfortunately for whatever reason, it's like, all right, let's let Subban do something. Like, he hasn't proven anything. He played 5 minutes the season before total. And then you think that I don't hate Subban. I just don't think there's a lot of people who think that he's not a good starter. That's why he's never had the chance to start, unlike Delia, who has started games. I think Subban's okay, but I think he's a perennial backup or a guy who's starting the AHL, not an AHL starter.
No.
And of course, now everyone's thinking like, Tompkins is supposed to be the guy, or no, not Tompkins, Lincoln, and he's supposed to be like a really good goaltender. He's got the more upside. They're going to use him at some point too because he's on the taxi. Because you need 3 goalies on the taxi squad and the main roster in general. So they're thinking that he has a more upside. Then it's like, okay, well, why don't you go with Lincoln and Delia? It's just, I don't know how I feel with having 3 goalies all fighting for a starting spot. I know you're in a rebuild, but that's not going to help anything. So, I mean, the first goal, Delia made a mistake, but I give him the benefit of the doubt because it is what it is. But it's just the way that Colleton has his defense set up, it's just not ideal at all.
Yeah,
it's just,
and I think you guys are, in that rebuild area, and I think it's one of those things like some of the guys understand it and they know that, and other guys, I don't want to say they don't understand it, but it's like, oh no, we can win the cup, and the other guys are being realistic. It's like, no, we're not. I mean, you could pull a Cinderella story. I mean, anybody could, but
yeah,
I think you're just kind of in that limbo of not knowing where to go, and you're just going to have to deal with it for a few years. That's all.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you look at the post-game press conference, they talked to Duncan Keith, they talked to Zadorov, Kaner, Murphy, and a bunch of guys are like, it's one of those seasons where they're gonna show us like how a good team is supposed to play, and really like we need to build off of what they're gonna do against Florida, because Florida is gonna be all right. Is this team gonna be the worst team in the division, or is this gonna be a team that's gonna be middle of the pack, finishing fifth or sixth, probably sixth, depending on how Florida is.
Yeah.
So it stinks. It sucks. We lose 10-3 in 2 games. But like I'm going to the season like, you know what? I already kind of knew this team was not going to be that great. I don't think we're going to get our breaks beaten off every game. I mean, we all know Tampa's going to run away with the division. They might win this thing by 10 or 15 points because it's Tampa Bay. So
Yeah,
I'm not gonna hit the panic button and stuff like that. But Carlton needs to figure out that maybe his scheme just doesn't work with this team, because this team is not fast. This is not a fast team.
Mhm.
Duncan Keith is our fastest skater, and he's a defenseman. If your defenseman who's in his mid-30s is the fastest guy on the team, this system that Carlton's going to try to run, it just doesn't work. So
there's a lot of
I'm hoping that we figure out something at some point. I mean, I know the Jackets just got done with their second game, but what are your thoughts overall with how the Jackets played? And I did see it. I just noticed we got a mention in our tweets. I'll read that after your thoughts of game one. Like, how are you feeling right now with the Jackets overall?
I'm not worried, honestly. The Jackets are notorious for starting slow. I mean, Twitter is in full meltdown mode because we lose 2 games, and last time I checked, last year we lost game 1 to Toronto and we lost game 2 to Pittsburgh by a lot. And then we came out of nowhere and we were supposed to be a cellar dweller right with the Red Wings. And guess what? We were in the playoffs, and also we knocked out Toronto. Did we do anything else other than, take Tampa to a 14-hour long game? No, not really.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Everyone constantly expects us to be low in the standings, and we didn't. First game, we only got 1 goal, which is Boone Jenner. It was one of the Nashville defensemen tries to throw it up, and they're in the neutral zone. It hits Boone Jenner in the chest, and he's still moving forward, and it just drops in front of him with nobody else there. He scores. My opinion, that's an improvement. Boone Jenner was not great with breakaways last season, so 1 for 1. Good for you.
Yeah.
Then we lost. I think Corpy played a solid game.
Yeah.
It's just
we're
shaking off rust. There's so much going on with our team. We're shaking off rust. I'm not worried. I mean, our next 2 games are against Detroit. I think we have 2 wins there.
I mean, Detroit did beat Carolina and they did beat them. So I mean,
yeah. I mean, anything can happen.
A blind score we're gonna find out once in a while. How do you feel about the nickname Boom Jenner? I mean, you got the cannon, Boone, boom. I mean, how do you feel about Boom Jenner?
I mean, it's a solid nickname. Every team has nicknames, and I think Boone has to be one of the best hockey names on the planet.
Boone Jenner. So I forget who it was on Twitter. I'm sorry, I forget your name, but someone said he called him the 38 special. Like from that. I'm like, you know what, that's kind of nice, but I mean, Boom Jenner is really good. But yeah, I mean, Boone. I mean, you can't go wrong with that name.
No.
But so we did get hit with a mention. This is from Slapshot Sweethearts. And they were replying to Hockey Hound. He said that CBJ have now lost 2 games in a row as Jackets fans. As a Jackets fan myself, I already know what's coming. Elvis sucks. Trade the whole team. Torts needs fired. Sounds about right, CBJ Twitter. And basically the girls were like, hey, I bet Cannon and Hawkspot are going to have this on their episode agenda. And I said, now we're going to.
Right. You want my personal opinion on this? Hockey Hound, listen, you got good information. You're a solid guy. You got good stuff. Shut up. Let's be real here. I'm sorry.
I'll clarify. I don't think it's him saying that this team stinks. I think he knows what's coming with
anyone that says this needs to stop. I mean,
I'm not blaming him. I'm just trying to clarify this. This is not Hockey Hound saying that the team sucks and then they trade Elvis and blah blah blah. He knows what's coming. So
Like,
it's
Elvis
it's not on a hockey hound. It's on CBJ Twitter in general. That's his point. He
like
thinks that this is what CBJ Twitter is going to do. So
like
hockey hound, if
anyone
you're
that
listening,
thinks
it's not you. It's not you.
like all of this stuff. Elvis sucks. Like, look, his first game last year, he got shelled by the Penguins. They got 7 goals on him in 2 periods. Okay, sounds about right, right, Blues
Yeah.
fans? Okay, so what happened next is he got a couple losses. Corpy gets hurt. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, he is in the running for Rookie of the Year. Okay, in what he gets 5 shutouts in 8 games, ties an NHL record that was over it was like 95, 96 years old or something. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, the anybody that says, "Oh, we lost 2 games," you need to sell the team. Stop. It's come on.
Yeah.
You're being
Yeah.
ridiculous. You're over exaggerating. I know the Blue Jackets have been stuck in a perpetual state of mediocrity for the last 20 years. Okay. I understand that because I have been a fan since 2000. I get it. It is frustrating that we can't do anything. And then it took us 19 years to win our first playoff round. It sucks. No big name guys want to be here. You don't have stars that in free agency, Panarin didn't want to stay. Bob didn't want to stay. Duchesne didn't want to stay. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, you can't be ridiculous. You can't be mad. Dude, it's a sport that in all reality, I love my Blue Jackets. I love watching hockey. I get irritated when they lose, but you know what? It has 0 effect on my daily life. But all of this stuff, Torts needs fired. No. Do you want to go back to being in 7th place, never making the playoffs before he was here? I don't.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because you know what? We're in the playoffs. Guess what? We still have a chance at the cup. Okay. You don't have a chance if you don't even make the playoffs.
Very true.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, like I said, that's just what Hockey Hound was telling me. He said he knows what's coming. I don't think he's actually saying that. So just to clarify, yeah, that's not him saying it. That's just he knows what CBJ Twitter is going to do. So
and
I thought that was interesting. So
two things with that. One, like I already said, look at what happened to us last year, guys. We lost the first 2 games, and then we win in Buffalo in overtime. With that just beautiful shot from Nick Foligno on the boards up to Texier and snipes at top shelf. Okay. That happened last year, but
honestly though, man, like look at it. You're 0-2, but that's a different story. We're 0-2 because we played one of the best teams in the league, and we're pretty much in a rebuild. You guys are fine, so it's also Nashville. A lot of people think Nashville's going to make the playoffs. So I mean, those games are going to be close. So
I mean, it's the first 2 games. Like historically, the Blue Jackets are not good in Nashville. We're just not. I mean, the statistics don't lie. We're not. But
it's been like that forever. So I mean, that's not.
I am 100% not worried.
Yeah, but man, overall though tonight, I mean, I don't know how long this episode's been, but it's once again, man, another good show. It's been It stinks that my Blackhawks got the breaks being off from the last couple games, but I mean, overall, I mean, I'm just glad hockey's back. We're day 4 now.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some games that are still going on, probably in the first period, because a lot of the last couple games are at 10 p.m. Eastern. So we still got hockey to watch. So I'll probably catch the end of some games and probably be watching a couple games because
for sure
put all that hockey in my veins. Let's go.
Look at the bright side. You're not a Blues fan with that good old Swiss cheese sitting in net at me.
Ooh.
Yeah, Benner's overrated. Okay,
that half season wonder.
yeah, 0.5 season wonder. He is overrated. If you have an issue with it, please feel free to DM me. I will absolutely have a conversation with you.
No, don't even DM him. Just tweet at him, and I want to see this because I need my popcorn so I can watch this and just enjoy this this hate fest in the tweets. So
for sure. Well, Zach, it's been awesome. It's been an exciting week. Being able to join Belly Up has been awesome. There's been a lot of fun things happen. Hockey is finally back, finally here. It's been a blast.
Thank gosh.
It's been a blast.
I'm just so glad hockey's back, and and huge shout out to Belly Up and Belly Up Hockey for bringing us on. We're really excited for that as well. Podcasting, and there's other stuff that's coming on too, but we aren't gonna say what yet. So make sure to stay up on our Twitter and our Facebook because we got more news coming. But like I said, we ain't gonna give all away the good details yet.
No.
There's more to come.
No, if you really want to know, we'll go ahead and tell. Anyways, guys, that's what we have coming up the pipeline. I hope you enjoyed what we just told you. Now, for real, it's been an awesome episode, Zach. I'm excited. I'm excited for next week already. We got a lot coming down the pipeline with everything. We got a lot that is happening. We're going to have some collaborations with other ones. Hopefully we're going to get the Slapshot Sweethearts on here at some point, and also go check out their podcast. Once again, as we said earlier, those girls are really knowledgeable. They have a lot of insight, a lot of different opinions about stuff.
And just all the other Belly Up sports in general too. They got baseball, basketball, football. I mean, they got fantasy sports too. So I mean, go check them out. BellySports.com. Belly Up Sports on Twitter. And they also got hockey, the hockey ones, baseball, fantasy. So any platform you can think of, check them out and go looking for their podcast. Because I mean, overall, Belly Up is on the rise. They got a lot of cool stuff going on, and just have us join after one episode. I mean, I'm excited to see what's coming next for not just us, but for Belly Up in general. It's gonna be
for sure.
Gonna be a great time.
Speaking of Belly Up and fantasy, if you like fantasy hockey, stay tuned. Just keep an eye on our Twitter. Go follow Belly Up Hockey. Go follow Belly Up Sports on Twitter. There's gonna be some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. So just stay tuned, and we should hopefully have a lot of cool stuff coming out.
For sure. So before we go, where can people find you, Alex, on the Twitterverse? Because I know in our corner over here, we got, or here, there, wherever. I know we got the podcast links, all the stuff where they can find us there. But where can we find you in general on Twitter?
Oh, for sure.
I don't get the names down here, but still for the audio podcast.
Anyone that's listening to audio, you can do two things. One, you can go over to our YouTube channel, Cannons and Tomahawks Podcast, and watch any of our podcasts. All of our information is going to be on there. My direct Twitter is right below here. It is _CBJ. And Zach, where can they find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me at RyTribe22. RYTRIBE 22. You got in the corner for the audio people in our corner area. We do have the Cannon Hawks Pod on Twitter, Cannons Tomahawks on YouTube. We're also on Facebook at Cannons and Tomahawks Podcast. You can find that as well. And then we're, like I said in our announcement, we are going to be on Apple iTunes, Spotify. We're going to be in Pandora, Spreaker, Breaker. We're pretty much going to be anywhere and anywhere that you want to listen to us. Pinecast. We're also on Pinecast if you want to try to find us on there as well. I don't know how that works, but the new thing we're going to be on. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can find us basically anywhere and everywhere. You can find us here at the Cannon and Tomahawks Podcast.
Absolutely. While we're there, Zach, I've had fun. It's been a blast.
Same here, man. Same here.
Guys, if you're listening, you're still with us. Thank you for listening. Go give us a follow on every platform that you can. Give us a follow on Twitter. Shoot us some DMs. Hit us in the mentions. Let us know anything you want us to talk about, any questions. And until next time, guys, we will see you next week.
See you.